Hello, thank you for joining today. The goal of this presentation is to explore the intersection of DeFi and AI. For context, I am speaking today from the perspective of Cronos Labs, the ecosystem development arm of Cronos, an open source, carbon neutral, top 10 blockchain supported by more than 500 partners, including Crypto.com. Cronos Labs runs an in-house accelerator program focused on crypto and AI. We have studied more than 600 applications so far this year, many of them at the intersection of DeFi and AI. Today, I would like to summarize what types of innovations we are looking for and wish to support in the Cronos ecosystem. First of all, what are we talking about? 2023 is the year of AI. But some AI technologies like fraud and spam detection or recommendation systems have been in our lives for years now. Today's disruption is really about large language models and the way that the underlying embedding models have enabled text, image, and video generation. We are not yet near human-like general artificial intelligence, and AI is nowhere close to being able to interact effectively with the physical world. The AI innovation that we can leverage today is AI that is specifically trained to understand and present content to us a little bit like an intern would. With generative AI, we can get the computer to communicate in our language, rather than having to learn the computer's language to get it to complete useful tasks. Overall, we see three areas where innovation is happening at the intersection of DeFi and AI. I will go through each of those areas in turn, the first one being major improvements in productivity and user experience, the second one, the question of provenance of models and decentralized identity, and the third one, which is about DeFi powering the AI economy. Let's start with the first topic. Anyone who has used ChatGPT or Midjourney has experienced how Gen AI or generative AI can drastically improve the productivity of creative designers, coders, customer support specialists, and other content creators. While this value added may not seem specific to the DeFi industry, our belief is that this is the area where AI will create the most value in the short term for the DeFi industry. When we think about DeFi, fundamentally, it is about creating a radically more efficient global financial rails for society. The promise of DeFi is the removal of intermediaries, which can usher in an area of faster, cheaper, more global and fair payments and investment options for everyone. However, the Web3 industry has not yet fully delivered on this promise. When we look at the industry's productivity here on this page, when measured by millions of US dollars managed by employee, we see that blockchain protocols like Lido or MakerDAO or Aave sit between $50 and $300 million per employee, certainly much better than traditional banks like Bank of America or JP Morgan, which are between $10 and $30 million in balance sheet per employee. However, that is lower than some top asset managers like BlackRock, who are already above $500 million per employee. Besides, the productivity of blockchain and DeFi protocols will become more challenging in the coming years as these protocols increasingly have to contend with local regulations, labor-intensive compliance, and multi-language localization. The only way for blockchain protocols to augment team productivity is by using AI tools in every department. Therefore, whether it is in the marketing and creative department with tools that enable generative images and videos, or whether it is around software development, we see a huge potential for value creation in generative AI, and that will touch both DeFi protocols and providers of software as a service who will serve those DeFi protocols with the relevant AI-enabled tools for their work. Now, let's move on and talk about user experience. It is well known that blockchain protocols are challenging to use by mainstream consumers. Web3 protocols can be challenging to understand, and any mistake can lead to catastrophic losses. An ideal Web3 user experience enabled by AI should involve things like support chatbots to navigate product functionalities, user interfaces and notifications that translate blockchain transactions into natural language, natural language queries and transaction instructions, no-code algorithmic trading, and AI-enabled detection of risky transactions and risky counterparties. On this page, we see how companies and startups like Crypto.com with the Amy chatbot, FalconX with the Omni trading helper, or Dune Analytics with natural language queries, all those companies have already started to deliver on this dimension. The next wave of product innovation will likely involve agents, particularly in DeFi. By agents, we mean semi-autonomous AI threads, which, through a chat interface, are given a goal set by the user and can perform a number of research tasks and use external APIs to trigger actions such as rebalancing a user's portfolio or adding on trading opportunities or recent information. Now, let's talk about the question of model provenance and digital identity in DeFi. It is clear that the notions of identity and truth are changing, both in the DeFi and in the AI world. For example, every dApp is already experiencing a proliferation of bot users trying to game the system in order to capture protocol rewards and airdrops. Even beyond Web3, we are seeing a dramatic increase in the number of AI-enabled bots on social media. For years, Web3 technology has promised to equip users with decentralized or self-sovereign identity. Decentralized identity protocols should enable us to store claims such as I am human or I am over 18 years old, and enable us to selectively share these claims with apps that require some proof of identity. It is possible that the rise of AI will finally create use cases for decentralized identity, for example, to ascertain which users are human and to track the provenance and copyright status of training data used by AI models. That is the bullish case in terms of the impact of AI on decentralized identity and DeFi. However, decentralized identity protocols do face a chicken and egg problem with respect to adoption. There are too many standards competing with each other, and none has any critical mass of users to be really useful either to the AI economy or to the DeFi industry. It is not clear yet that even paying users to register, like WorldCoin has done, is even going to be effective. Therefore, there's also a lot of questions as to the relevance of this decentralized identity use case when it comes to DeFi and AI opportunities. However, one promising potential use case is the concept of ZK-ML. ZK-ML has emerged this year, and it's all about enabling smart contracts to send queries and receive predictions from AI models which are hosted off-chain. The ZK part of that technology enables on-chain smart contracts to verify that the prediction that they receive on-chain is coming from the desired off-chain models. The exact use cases of this technology are still very much open for debate, but the use of AI by yield optimizers to make investment decisions is potentially one of them. At the moment, startups like the ones listed on the right-hand side of this page are working on the underlying libraries and tools and are very interesting to monitor. Finally, let's talk about DeFi powering the AI economy. DeFi is very good at enabling peer-to-peer financial transactions. And several startups are already trying to prove that these financial rails are ideally suited to power the economy taking place between AI model creators, hosts, and consumers. Some of those startups promise cheaper access to compute resources by leveraging the peer-to-peer renting of unused hardware. This is important considering that AI model training can cost anywhere from a few $1 million to $200 million. And companies like Ocean Protocol, SingularityNet, DeepBrain Chain, Genesis, Render Network are trying to make computing resources cheaper to access. There's a second bucket of startups who are more focused on delivering improved access to AI models, either by offering censorship resistance or by developing peer-to-peer marketplaces of custom models. Examples include Corgi AI, which is a dApp present on the Cronos blockchain, as well as a company called Inference Labs. Finally, a few startups like Fetch.ai are betting on the fact that AI agents will need to transact with each other in order to source services from external APIs or from more specialized agents, and those startups are building the blockchain-based financial rails to power this economy. One challenge for all these startups is that they are competing with companies who are addressing the same user needs without blockchain and without DeFi, and who are so far doing pretty well. Competitors include everything from model creators like OpenAI and Midjourney, to providers of training data like Scale AI, to cloud infrastructure vendors like RunPod, VastAI, and marketplaces for models and apps like Hugging Face. Some of which even have a certain level of decentralization, like in the case of Hugging Face, which is largely an open platform for model creators and model consumers. However, there is space for DeFi to play a role in powering this economy. And in the future, we could even think about a utopian end state where agent networks operate as DAOs, in the sense that they would be governed by a community of users and appointed guardians, and would have to use DeFi financial primitives to transact with the rest of the world. For example, they could have to stake capital to start operating, and then pay fines if they transgress the rules set by their guardians, or if they generate prediction mistakes for the users, therefore creating a feedback loop that keeps AIs in check and aligned with their human overlords. Such a decentralized system could help to enable censorship resistance and enable the creation of an alternative economy not fully dominated by a handful of large tech companies when it comes to making AI available to the broader world. This area of innovation, while less immediate, represents a vast opportunity for value creation. In summary, as part of the Cronos Accelerator program, we are interested in 3 buckets of innovation. Improvements in productivity and user experience, dealing with the question of model provenance and decentralized identity, particularly through the use of ZKML technology, and DeFi powering the AI economy. We believe that the first category is likely to generate the most value in the short term. The second category is still nascent and unclear in terms of what killer use cases it is going to serve. And the third area represents an enormous potential opportunity where a few unicorns are likely to emerge, even though competition is really, really hard. Thank you for your attention.